Well, I want to welcome everyone to our little webinar about HRV screening. And I'm here today. My name is Jean LaValle, and I'm with Judy Feldhausen. And we both are HRV screening technicians. And we want to explain a little bit about what the machine is and what it can do for not only the individuals, but for a lot of the health professionals that we work for and work with. As I said, I'm here with Judy Feldhausen. Judy introduced me to this technology about 3 years ago, and my life has never been the same. Knowing what my cardiovascular system looks like and working on health matters in order to make myself aware of what's actually happening so that my heart disease, which I do have heart disease, doesn't get out of control and end up having some type of episode that eventually could maybe take my life. So having said that, you know a little bit about me, I'm going to introduce Judy Feldhausen. As I said, I met Judy about 3 years ago, and she introduced me to this technology. She is one of the foremost HRV screeners in the country. She knows the machine inside and out and really is making a lot of difference in a lot of people's lives. So Judy, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you, Jean, and it's a pleasure to be working with you and to be able to share this technology with so many people because it was life-changing for me. I did not believe that I had cardiovascular issues because I didn't have any of the regular issues that people have, but when I got screened on this device, I found out that my genetics was playing a big, important part in my life, and started with this screening. It changed my life, and now I love to say that I'm as healthy as a 20-year-old. At least my arteries are. So, you know, if someone could look at me from the inside, I'd look really, really young. But it is so important for this technology.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that is really why we have the passion that we have. So much of what we do in Cardio Wellness Group and Your Health Matters is letting people know simple, easy ways to take care of their health that are not, first of all, invasive, and second of all, that actually build your health and aren't just a Band-Aid that keeps you from managing, you know, that keeps you from actually being healthy and you're then managing a disease. So the art of staying healthy, oh, I'm sorry, Judy, but the art of staying healthy, I wanted to really touch on really quick on some of these statistics that are really actually pretty scary.
They are scary, and they aren't getting any better, unfortunately. And the allopathic medicine is really just helping people cover up what is going on in their bodies and is not actually healing. So we want to be able to help people heal their bodies, and the screening device is the first way to do that.
And the screening device, one of the things that really gets me excited about the screening device is that so many people don't even know they have heart disease, and before you know it, they have an episode, and a lot of those very first episodes lead to death. And the death is really what scares me when you hear people who are 45 or 50 who never knew that they even had an issue that are dying from some type of a cardiovascular episode. It's really scary, and that's why I think that this screening device could go very far for all types of health professionals and individuals to know what their actual cardiovascular system looks like so that they can address any issues that might be coming up.
Absolutely. So why don't we go into really what is this screening? I'm so excited that we have discovered something that is FDA approved. So for our health practitioners out there, it can be covered by most insurance. And we have the CPT and ICD-10 codes for those practitioners that want to use this in their office. Not only that, it's so easy, right?
Well, it's so easy, so in a non-invasive, very relaxing. It is not scary at all. We have people who are very timid about taking the screening because it might be, if there's something that tells you that maybe you need some work to do, people don't want to know that. But for, I would say, the clients that I have, at least 90% of them are always so happy that they had the screening, because it gave them, a lot of the times, Judy, we tell people things I think they already knew, and it just solidifies in their mind. And also what we can do is, after 90 days, we'll come back and rescreen. If you started a new regime, if you started exercising, if you started taking a supplement that you think is making a big difference, this screening will 100% give you measurable results on what type of protocol you're using, and that's actually why our health professionals love it so much.
Absolutely. So what happens when someone sits down in the chair, and we have Harry here, who is actually looking at his actual heart and circulation. So Harry sits down. He can't move or talk during the 3 minutes, but we do like to educate people and let them know what is going on. It really helps them relax. And being able to, first of all, the PTG, look at their pulse and what it actually looks like when a nurse is looking at their pulse. For the resting heart rate, which is over on the left, that says 80, for being a resting heart rate that is going to actually change during the screening, and that's okay. And we let our patients know that it's okay for our resting heart beat to actually be variable. And to look at the APG is actually what the heartbeat looks like, the systolic and the diastolic beat. And what is really, really important here is all the stuff that is going on between the beats, because that actually shows how the blood is running through the body.
Yeah, and what I think is the most interesting thing about this page is when the resting heart rate, and you were saying that not to worry about it going up and down, we actually do want to see that when the heart rate goes up. You know, sometimes it can be as high as 80 and sometimes as low as 60. That's what we're looking for, because that's what the heart rate variability is. We want people to have variability in their heart rate, right, Judy?
Absolutely, it's so important. I like to tell people it's like practicing. You wouldn't run a marathon without practicing. Well, the marathon in our bodies are things as simple as walking and sitting and sneezing. Those are marathons in our body, and our heart has to practice to be able to engage at times when it is needed at a moment's notice. The tachogram looks at the frequency of our heart. Everything in the world has a frequency. Our heart has a frequency, and it can tell us amazing things. So many people are absolutely so surprised when they said, this little machine can do all that. Well, part of it absolutely is the tachogram. Our timer is on the bottom in the pink, so a patient can look at that and know that he or she is right at the end.
And the heart rate variability. It's always very interesting to see how those little yellow dots in the HR variability box there land every time our client's heart rate, our heart beats. A little yellow dot is placed into that box, and this is, I mean, Harry looks like he's in pretty good shape, because look at how he's giving that nice little diagonal line of heart rate variability. And the more that I am immersed in this training with HR variability, when I see that, I think that that's a good heartbeat. Correct, Judy?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Harry doesn't have any artifact beats, which we are actually going to see when we go to the results of the page. So after the 3 minutes, then immediately the results are there. And that's what I love about this. So the patient doesn't even have a chance to get up and get a cup of coffee or do whatever. Those results are there immediately. And there are 7 different wave types. Wave type 1 is the most ideal. Wave type 7 is the most compromised. And on the bottom left of the screen, we can actually see a sample of the patient's heartbeat and what percentage of the time he or she is in each wave type. And that really tells us a lot just from that simple measurement.
Right, and so much of the time it's so interesting that you could be a type 1 50% of the time and a type 2 50% of the time. And not that that's bad, but there's always a little bit of room for improvement, and we always have good ideas for people that want to see improvement, things that they're not doing that we know will help improve their cardiovascular health. So this guy is a type
Absolutely.
2. He's a type 2 99.1% of the time, which is great, but again, there's room for improvement. And you also will see that there is a type 4.9% of the time. So there's another opportunity for room for improvement. So type 2, Judy, in this instance with Harry, what exactly does that mean? Can you break it down for us with the different items?
Absolutely. So we have an overall snapshot of the wave type, but we can look at specifically where the challenges are. So when we look at DPI, it's differential pulse index, what I like to tell people is this is just an average of everything in the entire screening. And so we have suboptimal, normal, and optimal levels. Of course, normal in the United States is not something to brag home about, because if you look at the screen with the deaths, 1 in 4 deaths in the United States are through cardiovascular disease. So we all strive to be in the optimal level. But Harry is in the low side of normal for DPI, or average of the entire screening. And EC is eccentric constriction. Eccentric constriction is actually the force of blood out of the left ventricle. And that shows us that our veins may be constricted, not what they are constricted with, but that they may be constricted. Arterial elasticity is actually the flexibility of our arteries. As we mature, our arteries tend to harden, and so we want to make sure that they are nice and flexible so that the blood flows easily through our bodies. And all 3 of these, Harry is normal, as he is in the last bar, which is RBV, remaining blood volume. And that's the efficiency of the heart, how it's pumping, if there's any blood left between pumps. And Harry's in the center of normal in that.
Right, and as we can see, there's plenty of room for improvement. And as you said before, Judy, we really want people to be closer to the optimal, because optimal in when you're being compared to other people your age and your gender in the United States, you don't really want to be in the normal. You don't want to be normal. You want to be in the optimal. So thank you for that breakdown, Judy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's a little description of this of what is going on. This is very generic, but it gives us an opportunity to talk specifics with the patient, which is what we like to do when we go through this screening. So here's our second page, Jane, and our medical professionals love this page because it's all about our autonomic nervous system, which most health professionals are a little bit more familiar with than heart rate variability. But it is just as important and can really change someone's health score when you start getting these things in alignment.
Right, and this is really this is the meat of really what drives the first page, right, Judy?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, when you're talking about stress and you're talking about hormone levels and you're talking about stress resistance, all that plays so intricately into our cardiovascular health. That's why things that relieve stress actually do help our heart, and that's another thing that we at Cardio Wellness Group absolutely stress is stress relief. Well, we stress no stress relief, so that didn't make any sense, but we want to be emphatic about stress relief.
Yes, that is so true. So many of the challenges we have in life right now are because of stresses on our body. So we really want to take that into consideration when we go for complete health. And so if we look at this screen, we see on the left a resting heartbeat. Harry's is 86, a little bit high for someone, but this is only a 3-minute snapshot, but it's something to talk about. People normally know what the resting heartbeat is, so you can ask them if it's normal or abnormal. Was it nerves that created the high heartbeat, or is it lack of a good lifestyle? So we do have that frank discussion with people. And we look at the differential between the highest heartbeat and the lowest heartbeat. And we're looking for between a 15 and 25 beat differential between the two for a good, strong, healthy heart. And Harry has 21 beat differential. And artifact beat is actually how many times his heart skipped a beat during the 3-minute screening, and Harry had no artifact beats.
Yay, Harry.
And how about yeah, yay, Harry. And how about the stress score, Jean?
Yeah, the stress score it's very interesting to me when I talk to people about the stress score, is that when I say your stress score is low, they say, oh, well, you don't know how stressed I am. Or if their stress score is high, they say, well, I really, I don't feel any stress. And I tell people it really has nothing to do with how much stress is in your life. It's how you're handling the stress. I screened a gentleman who was a landlord for many different real estate opportunities, and he said, well, my tenants are stressing me out. I said, well, your tenants aren't stressing me out. So if they're not stressing me out, they're not the stress. You're reacting to them that way, and this is actually taking its toll on your cardiovascular health. So it's something that people need to get in their minds. It's not how much stress is in your life, it's how well you handle the stress.
That is so true, and that is such a big eye-opener for people. And we help them go through the different types of stress and some easy fixes, including yoga and breathing, and maybe hiring a stress coach, meditation, walking around the building, giving just simple, easy instructions to help them handle their stress.
Hydration is a big one, too. Hydration is a really big one.
Yes, absolutely. So our stress is actually divided into 3 different areas: physical, mental, and stress resistance. And I love when I talk to people about their physical stress and what is going on in their body, because so much time our stress doesn't come out in our heads as worry or fret, but it is shown in our body as physical pain or being uncomfortable. And most people don't realize that the way stress affects us comes out through our body in physical ways and in disease eventually.
Yes, and the mental stress, I think, is pretty obvious to anyone who has a high mental stress. We're in the bottom quadrant on the right side of the screening. And the one thing that I really I look at very closely with my clients is stress resistance, because as we know, our physical stress and our mental stress changes sometimes day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, as far as what is happening in our lives. But our stress resistance is something that we really need to keep up, because when that stress resistance is low, that leaves us open and susceptible to disease. Correct, Judy?
Yes, and the interesting thing about this bar is where the other two we want to be in the low side, stress resistance, we want to be very high, because it's our resistance to stress, our resistance to disease that we want to be strong.
Yeah, so that's always my big marker for people, is to let them know that they need to get up their stress resistance. And again, we can give great advice on simple, easy things that you can do every day in your life to build your stress resistance. And that's one of the strong points, again, of this screening, is that if you know there's a problem, then you can work to fix it naturally.
Yes, addressing it is so important. So if we go over to the bottom of the left-hand side of the screen, to those colorful bars and the brackets, we want all of the bars to be within those brackets. And poor Harry here, he's a little low on everything. And so this is such a great opportunity, again, to talk about life and what is going on with individuals in their lives that are going to are causing some of these things to happen. So TP stands for total power, but what I like to talk about in real terms is our body's ability to handle changes in our environment. And Harry here, I would say, probably does not handle change very well. When I talk to patients about this bar, they're like, well, has my wife been talking to you? It's such an interesting bar.
Yeah, and you know, I've heard people say that to you, Judy, too, is how do you know this about me? How do you know how well I slept, or you know, how susceptible to change I am? And really, it is amazing what your physical body is trying to tell you all the time.
Absolutely. If we would just listen more. That's the value of this screening, is to have people put their ears on and listen to what's going on, to see it in technicolor, so to speak, so that they can understand that they have the ability to change some of these things. So VLF, very low frequency, is actually being able to have some peripheral circulation, so fingers, toes, and I like to ask our patients, do you have cold feet? Do you have any tingling? What is going on here that we should know about? And it's so rewarding to people saying, is that a problem? Should I not have cold feet? I've had cold feet all my life. So we know that maybe that circulation isn't getting all the way to the toes, and this is one of the places where we can see that.
Right, yes. And again, poor Harry and his low frequency, which has to do with his energy, he's just not quite to the mark yet. And that has more to do with your sleep patterns and you know, I tell people, you might be sleeping 10 hours a night, but if you're not getting into a deep restorative sleep, then chances are that you are not as healthy as you possibly could be. So it's not really how many hours of sleep that you're getting, but how often you fall into a deep restorative sleep that's going to make a difference, because we all know that's when your body is repairing itself.
Yes. And then if we go over to the next, this is where many of the chiropractors love to look at this, because they're all about the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system. And we're looking for these to be balanced.
Yes, and all the chiropractors that we work with, they see that when the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system is balanced, that's when the body is at its prime, at its peak, and we can tell if someone has just been adjusted, because these two bars tend to even out at that time, because it gives the body such a relief to be in balance again. And this is another one of the measurable results that we were talking about before, that you can actually tell from this screening that whatever protocol you're following, whether it is more exercise, better hydration, more chiropractic adjustments, health supplements, we can tell you whether that protocol is working or not just by looking at your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system.
Yes, yes, and many of the other bars and numbers as well. That's why we love to rescreen in 90 days after our health professionals put the patients on a protocol to see, number one, have they followed the protocol? Sometimes they say they have, and when we see the results, they say, well, maybe not all the time. So this machine doesn't lie. But being able to see a difference, I had someone just the other day that was actually crying because of the results that she saw. And not only the numbers on the screen, but how she felt and the difference that it had made in her life. And to see it then on the screen to say, yes, it is working. I feel so much better. I feel healthier. I have more energy. My life is changing because of not only getting screened, but doing the things that the health professional suggested that I do.
It's a very rewarding feeling.
And so that is really what this entire screening is. It does not take long. It takes more time to explain it than it does to actually experience it.
Yes, and we went into a little bit more detail. Normally, with the 3-minute screening, we take between 10 and 15 minutes, depending on the questions that we get from our client, talking about the results of the screening. So all in all, the screening usually runs about 20 minutes. Would you say that's correct, Judy?
Yes, total from the time they sit down to the time they get up.
Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for joining us, and this is the first of many videos that we're going to be making around heart health and what it means to you and what it means to us. And hopefully you gleaned a lot of information from what we shared today, and hope that we can hear from you. Either contact us in the Contact Us form or give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about anything that you're seeing today that you would like further information on. Thank you so much, Judy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jean. Pleasure working with you.